The Joint Action Committee, JAC, of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, Ssanu, and Non-Academic Staff Union of Allied and Educational Institutions, Nasu, has commenced a 2-week warning strike from today, March the 28th, 2020, over what it calls unresolved issues with the federal government. You may recall that the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, had on February the 14th commenced on a 4-week warning strike due to what it calls the inability of the federal government to yield to its demands, after which the strike was extended by 8 more weeks. With this action, all the functioning unions of the university employees in the country have downed their tools. This may seem a deliberate attempt by the unionists to cripple both academic and administrative activities in the nation's public universities. Arising from a crucial meeting in Abuja Sunday evening, the Joint Action Committee, JAC, of Nasu and Ssanu, in a memo addressed to the leadership of the union's branches across the country, directed them to ensure total compliance. And this is the content of the correspondence signed by Ssanu President Mohammed Ibrahim and Nasu Secretary Peters Adeyemi, in quotes, "In view of the nonchalant attitude of the government to our demands, this is to direct our members in all universities and inter-university centers throughout the country to commence a 2-week strike in the first instance, as earlier conveyed to the federal government in our letter. Please note that the 2-week warning strike should be comprehensive and total, as no concession should be given under any guise. Your strict compliance and adherence to this directive are mandatory for all branches of Nasu and Ssanu in the universities and inter-universities centers. JAC, in the effect, has given the 2-week ultimatum window to the government to implement all its demands. On Nigeria Today, we want to again review this disturbing trend in our tertiary education system with a view to profiling the problem and possibly join in the conversation towards proffering solution. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I am Lydia Ochi. You're welcome. Before our conversation, let us bring you clips on how Nigerians are reacting to this development. Take a look.
Government have to do the needful by calling off these strikes, because it's not actually helping the country. For instance, I lost about 3 years during my university days because of a strike. You understand? It made me to add more 3 years to my years. You understand? I was supposed to spend 4 years in the university. I spent 7 good years, and it's not it's not good at all. Do you understand what I'm saying? So government of the day need to do the needful, ensuring that any agreement they enter with the academic unions, be it Nasu or ASU or whatever, let them stick to it.
I urge federal government to take some measure, some critical measure. Let's solve these things once and for all. And let's look into it. It will not be only on the side of federal government. The ASU and the non-academic staffs too, they should analyze this thing and bring up ideas and solutions to these things once and for all.
I don't think the lecturer can do anything without the non-academic staff, because the non-academic staff, the way of the non-academic staff, they do a lot of works, keeping the school together.
The non-academic staff, they're actually playing a very big role in the university, because, like example now, like it's not all the lecturers that compile all our exam scripts. They give it to the non-academic staff. Like the bursary, if you are paying your school fees, like your bank strap, if you are paying it, you need to go to the bursary, and they are non-academic. Without them, you can't pay your school fees, and you're not allowed to enter the school.
We are pleading that they should just go with their terms and do whatever they need to do, so that we will return to the normal school activities.
Yes, Nigerians have spoken. Now, let me come to my guest in the studio. To discuss this issue with me is the co-chairman of the Joint Action Committee, Jack, of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, Ssanu, and Non-Academic Staff Union of Allied and Educational Institutions, Nasu, and president of the Ssanu. He is Mohammed Haruna. Thank you for joining us on Nigeria Today.
It's nice to be here.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, what are the issues this time? What are the demands this time around?
Well, thanks for having me once again. And let me seize this opportunity to say that this is a very trying period in the lives of Nigerians, and especially those that have any business to do with the universities, be they students or teachers or parents or even those that live within the community. It is not the intention of any member of staff, whether belonging to the teaching unions or the non-teaching unions, to see that the system is grounded. But because there are rules of engagements, definitely if you engage a staff, you have to sit down and sign a contract. And the contract here means the terms and conditions of service that you extend to that staff, wherein he or she agrees, and then signs on and then start work. Now, historically, this issue of the present strike in the university system is not an overnight issue. It's something that dates back to 2009, where and when government of the day sat down with the 4 university-based unions to agree on certain terms and conditions that was required to improve the system of education, especially at the level of the universities. Now, government had its own team, and then all these unions had their different teams all together. And we sat down, we agreed, and then struck a deal, and then our pens were put to paper. Now, 12, 13 years down the ladder, less than 40% of such agreements that was reached in 2009 has seen the light of the day. And between 2009 and to date, you would have witnessed a lot of agitations stemming from protests to warning strikes to indefinite strikes and so on. And at every point, the government tries to call people together to strike a deal again by saying that those issues will be sorted within the shortest possible time. If you fast forward from 2009 to October 2020, that was when Jack met with government, and then after the 2 weeks warning strike, then we agreed, and government believed that there was need to solve some of the agitations we have. And I can quickly tell you that some of these agitations are: 1, the non-payment of the minimum wage arrears to all members of staff, not only in the universities, but this time around, including all tertiary institutions, polytechnics and colleges of education. Then the inconsistencies in the payment of a platform called IPPIS. In 2019, when government brought the universities together and put them on the IPPIS platform, universities began to suffer as if we are slaves, meaning members' salary were not forthcoming. And when they come mutilated, they come dismembered, they come haphazardly. You would realize that vice chancellors were paid salaries of drivers, drivers were paid salaries of registrars, and so on and so forth. Some members did not even get salaries upward to 6 months, 7 months, and 1 year. So those were things that we felt that we can no longer continue to accumulate with us. Outside that, the Jack of Nasu and Ssanu had issues with government in the payment in the non-payment of the earned allowances. In that October 2020, we agreed with government, and they did promise to pay us the sum of 30 billion naira. We signed, and from 2020 to date of October, nothing has been done. In fact, what was paid out of that 30 billion is less than 8 billion naira. Then, of course, we had other agitations, issues surrounding usurpation of duties by members of the non-teaching staff. Positions that are statutorily meant for the non-teaching staff are being usurped, are being taken over by the academic staff. Those were issues also we drew the attention of government, because the university operates under the statutes of the law. There are positions that are career positions, whereby you employ a staff and he starts, if he's a graduate, from level 8, spanning to up to directorate level of level 15 in the university system. If it is in the category of the junior staff, it is something that starts from level 1 or level 3, as the case may be, up to level 5. So those were some of the positions that were being poached by our colleagues who are supposed to concentrate in their primary assignments of teaching, research, and community service to run the universities. Then we also had the issues of the non-constitution of the visitation panels, which the government, after our February MOA in 2021, constituted those committees, and the panels were sent to the universities and inter-university centers. And so many months after that exercise, we are still yet to see the white paper to give us the outcome of what was discovered, because that exercise was supposed to be like a mirror to government, to show them that whether those universities were run properly, whether there were corruption, whether there were abuse of power, whether there were issues that needed to be rectified. People that must have committed offenses should be punished, or even sent out of the system. Then we also have the issues of non-payment of retirement benefits to our members who had retired. You are now living witnesses to what is happening in this country. Even those that go to the office, when they pay you, your salary doesn't even take you home. What more of somebody who retires after putting in 35 years, as the case may be in the university, or he would have been 65 or 70 if he's a professor, and then retires, and then to access his pensions and benefits becomes a problem. So those were the problems that cumulatedly we presented before government, and they gave us a timeline of 2 weeks within which to sort out these problems. But those problems never came to see the light of the day. The solutions never came to see the light of the day. And because we have been pushed to the wall, and because we are also Nigerians, also remember we have other things to do. We have to feed our families, we have to take care of our Medicare, we have to pay the school fees of our own children in other institutions also. So those things are no longer coming. And therefore, we realize that probably the only way we could communicate to government is to give them, these deadlines. And we have given deadlines.
All right. Now, what impact do you think this strike will have on the tertiary education system?
Naturally, the impact may not be palatable to the generality of Nigerians because it is a setback. That is the reality. But we are also saying that there is no way you can keep doing something the same way and expect a different result. Nigerians have been complaining that we have been graduating half-baked graduates. What is the reason? People should find out. There is no commensurate funding of the education system in Nigeria. You go to the universities, go to the lecture theaters, you see students sitting on the ground. You go to the labs are not well equipped. You go to the hostels. For example, when I was in the university so many years back, the room that I occupied with only 2 or 3 people now is being cohabited officially by about 16 members, students. The same number of toilets have not improved. How do you expect this system to churn out students that will, impact in the community and then perform, those things they have learned from these universities? So naturally, the impact will not be a positive one. But people will have to understand, and we are calling on government, and even beyond government, stakeholders should hold the government accountable for whatever rot, for whatever setback that is currently besetting the development in our universities.
Okay, there's a lot more to talk about, but we'll do that after this time out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms.
Start Times Channel 101, Free TV Channel 703, GSTV Channel 419, and Go TV Channel 46.
For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24,
news and more news.
Welcome back. It's Nigeria Today, and we're talking about the Nasu Ssanu strike, which commenced today. And I still have with me in the studio the president of Ssanu, Mohammed Haruna. What is the relationship between this strike and that of ASU? Is this a kind of collaboration against the federal government?
Far from it.
Okay.
Because Ssanu, Nasu are independent unions that do not take orders or do not collaborate with any other union in order to be set or set back any development.
Okay.
Ssanu had an agreement, like I've mentioned, with government. Nasu had an agreement with government in 2009. And whatever we are agitating for today are in the books. These are the papers where we have appended our signatures. Representatives of government panel that were there signed. Our representatives also signed. Dr. B.O. Babalakin San, who was the chairman committee of pro-chancellors, was the one that signed on behalf of government. The president of Ssanu then, Barrister P.A.K. Adewusi, was there. And then, of course, the Deacon Gamaliel Onosode of blessed memory was the chairman of the FGN Ssanu renegotiation committee. So it was not, it's not something that is just coming up overnight. It's something that is documented. It's something that the government also agreed that there was need to improve the system, and that these members of staff required improvement in the welfare and their well-being. And therefore, if ASU is on strike, I am very sure they went on strike because believing that their rights have also been trampled upon, and they are free to go on strike.
Yes.
And every other union whose rights have been trampled upon is also free to go on strike. Okay. And I want to also to understand that strikes are legal, strikes are permissible under the laws of Nigeria, and that strikes are merely withdrawal of services of members of staff who are agitating, who are protesting, and who are not happy with the way they are treated.
Okay.
And there is nothing abnormal about going on strike. It happens all over the world.
Okay. Now, before this pronouncement, have you explored the option of dialogue this time around to engage the federal government?
Of course, because most of us in the two unions, especially Ssanu and Nasu, are core professionals. We are administrators, we are accountants, we are engineers, we are people who work in the system, who oil the engines that of the wheels of the university system. Therefore, our own modus operandi, naturally, before you hear Jack of Nasu and Ssanu go on strike, we must have explored all avenues. And I've just said some minutes ago that we had a meeting with government in October 2020. And in that meeting, government representatives were all there. The Minister of Labor was there. The Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education was represented. The Salaries and Wages Commission was there. The IPPI's office was there. The National University Commission was there. Every stakeholder that was required to be in that meeting was there. And all that we have discussed, they did not dispute it. They have agreed with us, and we have agreed on timelines, and assignments were given, and people were supposed to have done these assignments, but till today, we have not seen anything tangible to say that we shouldn't go on strike. Okay. And therefore, our last option, which we have taken, is our withdrawal of services, because we cannot continue to churn out our services and then our rights and privileges are trampled upon.
Okay, now, with this 2 weeks of strike, what are your expectations?
Our expectation is that because we're under a democratic government, we expect that Nigerians who are watching us should be able to call the attention of government. And even those that matter in government, I believe, should, as a matter of urgency, go back to the drawing board, find out where is the problem. For example, the issue of the non-payment of the minimum wage arrears. When we met, it was agreed that the universities and colleges of education and polytechnics should go back and then collect and submit the data that was required with corresponding information such as bank details, grade levels, and everything that was required, so that the payments will be done directly from the budget office. We were also told that there was a supplementary budget which was appropriated, approved by the National Assembly and signed into law by government, by the president of the country, and that we followed up, we submitted, there was a committee in the budget office, we followed up with these people, and that we were told that these things were ready. We were promised January, it never came to, we were promised December, December passed, we never saw it. We were promised January, January came to pass, we were promised February, and now we are in the end of March. So the more you see, the less you understand what is happening. So these are some of the issues that honestly, for us as leaders of these unions, we have exhausted all the explanations that we will give our members. And it is the decision, the collective decision of our members, that we must at this point withdraw our services legally and also in consonance with the provisions of the labor laws of Nigeria.
Okay. While Jack is accusing the federal government of being nonchalant and non-responsive, how do we describe your own disposition in this regard?
Well, if you ask me this question, I will simply tell you that we are exercising our fundamental human rights as members of staff who are engaged by government to work. And as expected in our rules of engagement, we are to be paid. Mind you, all other civil servants have been paid these minimum wage arrears, including NTA staff. I am aware of that. And therefore, why should the members of staff of the universities suffer unnecessarily? Did we kill anybody's son, or have we now become slaves? Mind you, the universities are such institutions that churn out professionals to work for government and with government. Therefore, the best treatment you can give is to ensure that conducive atmosphere is made available for those institutions and members of staff, so that at the end of the day, the products that come out from these institutions are the ones that can stand the test of time and can excel and perform and compete with their contemporaries all over the world. So when you staff the university environment, including staff, and you don't provide the learning atmosphere to be conducive, then of course you should not expect me to tell you that at this point what we are doing is the wrong thing, because it is our rights that have been trampled upon, and we are fighting hard to ensure. Nobody is interested in shutting down the system. Nobody is happy with what is going on. And I want to assure you and Nigerians that the sooner government solve these issues with the speed of light, our members will restore their services.
That is what all Nigerians are looking forward to. We hope it can be resolved once and for all. Thank you for coming on our program. We really appreciate your presence. We've been talking with co-chairman of the Joint Action Committee, Jack, of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, Ssanu, and Non-Academic Staff Union of Allied and Educational Institutions, Nasu, and he's also President, Ssanu, Mohammed Haruna Ibrahim. We appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
to our viewers, thank you for being a part of the program. Remember, you can still watch this episode and other ones on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. See you again tomorrow. I am Lydia Ochi. Good evening.